to update you on my 20 things we learned in 2020 video. Still in works, still in progress. I also wanted to thank everybody for subscribing to my channel. I've got 1,000 subscribers now. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. So thanks for the help. Thanks for the support. Keep watching. 20 things I learned in 2020 is coming. It's really coming. I'm really working on it. Anyway, I wanted to comment on what's going on in the news right now, even though I'm not doing politics anymore. I just want to make one comment. This pillaring of President Trump, this destruction of his character and trying to impeach him and get rid of him again, it's got two purposes. One, they want to make sure he doesn't run again in 4 years, but you know, his daughter could run and probably be elected. Number two, it's a warning shot. The Democrats are in control of this country. They're in control of Hollywood. They're in control of the news media. They're in control of social media, obviously, big tech. And now they're in control of the government, the Congress, as well as the presidency. And this is a warning shot to any populist candidate that will run in the future. If you come in with some message of trying to drain the swamp, if you're an outsider, even if you're an insider who's selling yourself as an outsider, they're coming after you. They do not want a populist president. They do not want populist senators or representatives. They want to have control. They do not want to represent the people. Yeah, so we're moving out of California. Had enough of the taxes here, and they're shutting down our businesses. Airbnb is banned in Anaheim next to Disneyland. Disneyland's been closed for 9 months. We're moving to Florida. No state income tax, no wealth tax. They're trying to pass this stupid wealth tax in California, 16.9%. If you live in California for 60 days in a calendar year, you're responsible for 16.9% tax, not on your income, but on everything you own, all your property, anywhere, worldwide. I mean, I don't know if this will pass. It's been introduced into the state legislature. They're trying to pass it. They'll probably pass some version of it, some form of it. But if you own property, if you stay in California 60 days and you have a condo in Florida or Hawaii, they can charge you tax on that, a wealth tax. Okay, so I told you wrong. I've got it on the screen here. The new wealth tax in California proposed is 0.4% of a tax on all net worth above $30 million. So if you're a high net worth individual, you would be leaving California. The other proposal, which they've already put in, is to raise the top income tax rate from 13.3% to 16.8%. 13.3% is already the highest in the entire country. Hawaii, of course, is second. And this will raise it from the highest of 13.3% to 16.8%. Plus, you could be charged 0.4% tax on all of your net worth, everything you own, from stock to bonds to houses to condos, anything you own. California is proposing that they could tax you on it for 10 years. If you spend 2 months in the state, they feel entitled to tax you on your wealth anywhere in the world for 10 years after you spend 2 months in the state. So don't spend 2 months in California. Been locked down on and off, different versions of lockdown for the last 9 or 10 months. Florida's not locked down at all. Disney World's been open since March or April, not sure when, but it's open. All the other Disneylands are open all over the world, Paris, Tokyo, China. But we're still locked down here in California. And, you know, hasn't made any impact. I mean, it's totally ridiculous, obviously. So this wealth tax, if you live here for 2 months of the year, they can tax you for the next 10 years, is what they're proposing. I mean, that probably won't pass, but something like it will pass. So I'd recommend you get the hell out of California. So what's going to happen is that they're going to turn California into kind of a serfdom, you know, a fiefdom of serfs. So anybody with any wealth, anybody who owns anything, owns a business, owns any property, is going to get out of here. And the only people left in California are going to be, employees. And they're going to tax the hell out of you. They're already taxing the hell out of you. They're going to tax you more. And, half that money just gets funneled into the government and wasted and put into pension plans that are bankrupt. They're basically using this as an experiment. They're going to turn California into the Philippines. No offense to my Filipino friends. But in the Philippines, a few families own everything, and they don't live there. And they tax the hell out of everybody. Everything's expensive. Electricity is expensive. Gasoline's expensive. And they tax the hell out of everybody, and they don't live there to deal with the pollution and the overcrowding and the traffic problems. So they don't provide any services. They just tax everybody, and they take the money offshore. My understanding is the wealthy families who own everything in the Philippines live in Hawaii. And so they're doing an experiment to turn California into the same thing. So all the wealthy people are going to move out so they don't have to pay this wealth tax and eventually an inheritance tax and increased state income tax and property taxes and everything else, 57 cents per gallon of gasoline tax. And then they're going to live somewhere else, live in another state or live in another country, take all the wealth out. Taxes are going to go to the government. They're going to waste it. And all the wealth that you pay to these businesses is going to go offshore, going to go out of the state. And the only people going to be left here are serfs. The only people left in California will be employees. All the stars have already left. I mean, it used to be you live in Hollywood, you see stars. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you'd see people all over the place, musicians, actors, stars, directors. That doesn't exist anymore. You come to California, you get to see the Hollywood Walk of Fame and Grumman's Chinese Theater. There's no stars here. The movie productions moved out of the country because of the unions. They shoot in Prague, or they shoot in Toronto, or they shoot in China. All the animation's done offshore in China and India. So movie production's not really done here anymore. I'm sure they still shoot some TV shows here. But a lot of it's gone. And so the stars are all gone. And the only thing you got left is the middle class, so they're going to leave because they're going to be taxed to death. And the only thing you're going to have left is, the low-level employees, no offense. They're going to be paying all the taxes, and they're going to be living in hell with a high crime rate and homeless people everywhere. And it's a dangerous city. It's going to turn into Manila, basically. Los Angeles is, and San Francisco already has. If you go downtown San Francisco, it's kind of scary. It used to be a beautiful city, but it's not anymore. So I think they're doing this as an experiment. They're going to turn California into a serfdom and then roll that out across the whole rest of the U.S. like they do with everything else. And I'm not going to be here, so I'm waiting for the golf quarantine to start in Thailand. You can go stay at a golf resort in the south of Thailand near Pattaya, and roam around the resort and go to the pool and go to the hotel, all around the hotel, and play golf, but not leave the property because you're in quarantine. Once they put that past that law, and they're talking about it, it might not happen. But if they do that, I'm going to Thailand. So right now we're moving to Florida. We're going to set up our Airbnb in Orlando, try to make that work, and then eventually bail and go back to Thailand. For the freedom. I mean, Americans think they have it so good here, but they haven't been abroad. They don't own a passport. Once you start traveling, you go to some countries in even Eastern Europe, even in the Middle East, Asia, you find out what free people really live like. I mean, you can go to Thailand, Cambodia, Laos even. There's no restrictions on how you live. Singapore, Americans think Singapore is like this gulag. It's actually one of the most beautiful, freest cities I've ever been to. As long as you don't spit your chewed gum on the sidewalk, I guess. It's a great place to live. It's expensive. I mean, there's so many freer places to live in the world, and we're going to go live in one. America's already socialist. I mean, the Democrats control the House. They're going to control the Senate. They control the White House. They control the media. They control social media. The tech oligarchs in the Silicon Valley. They're controlling the whole country. And I got bad news for you. It's not becoming socialist or communist. It already has. I mean, everything is centrally planned. You don't have freedom. They tell your kids where to go to school, what vaccinations they have to have. You have no choice. They're going to tell you what you have to do, what you have to have, what you have to put in your body. They're going to tell you eventually where you have to work and where you have to live. It's already happened. Everything in America now is centrally planned by the central banks.
I'm going to pull up a headline this week. It says Fed's mortgage buying spree at $1 trillion with no end in sight. So I'm not sure what's more concerning about that headline, $1 trillion or no end in sight. I mean, it's just not good. So Federal Reserve has snapped up $1 trillion of mortgage bonds since March, a record pace. So clearly they're trying to prevent the housing crisis of '08. They're trying to prevent another crisis like that. That's why they're doing this. The Fed bought around $300 billion of bonds in each of March and April. $600 billion right there in those 2 months.
As a fact, we have no say in it. The president has no control over the central banks. The central banks have their own board of directors. They're all privately owned banks. They decide monetary policy, not us. They decide how much money to create. They decide how many trillions of dollars worth of treasury bonds and corporate bonds and mortgage-backed securities to buy, not us. They control our money supply. They're destroying our money supply. They do all the central planning, and we just go along. That is the definition of a communist country. We no longer have a vote. Even the populism that we thought we had with Trump has been destroyed. Whether you like Trump or not, I mean, I'm an independent, I'm a libertarian, I don't give a shit who's president. I don't vote. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I believe in personal choice and personal freedom, unlike the liberals who say that's what they believe in, but that's the last thing they believe in. Doesn't matter who's president, they don't run the country. Joe Biden's not going to run the country. Okay, it's run by the banks. It's run by the deep state, the people who've been working in government for 20 or 30 years. And you have no say in it. Your elected officials have no say in it. You have no representation. Congress doesn't give a shit what you think. They're going to force through the laws that benefit them. We are living in a communist dictatorship, and we don't even know who the dictator is. It's probably the central bank. It's probably the Fed. So anyway, that's a happy message for you as we pack up our house and move out of California and eventually move out of America, because I don't want to live in a communist dictatorship. When the tech oligarchs are above the president and control free speech, it's all over. You just got to admit it to yourself. You know it. Your gut tells you it's all over. The Democrats are celebrating. They have control of everything. Now they can tell you how to live, and they're all super happy that we're going to follow their agenda, and that's not going to happen. There's going to be fighting back and forth between the left and the right, and between the social classes and the rich and the poor, and America's going to turn into a third world country. And I'm sorry to say, because it's been my country and I love it, but I don't want to live here anymore. So this is Crazy Horse signing off for now. Go queue up and get injected. All right, take care. Bye.